Hi folks, this is just a quick demonstration to show you the of the new security profile, the extension of the current security profiles. You are now able to control which buttons in the administrative report section a user can see. Okay, so on this current profile I'm logged into, you can see that they've got no access to any of the buttons. I think I am logged on to profile number 3, which, as you can see, doesn't have anything ticked. So we'll go through this in more detail now. So basically, in your setup users section, you'll note firstly that I've taken away this button called the security wizard for technical reasons. But if you have actually watched the demo on security profiles, which in the video manual index you can see at this link, video manual index is available in the FrontOFFICE cloud folder, as you know. Was the original one done by my father, and in that it had the security profile wizard. Basically, because of the code that I had to implement, it was sort of clunky having the code run from 2 different sources. As I say, technical reasons, but maybe in future we'll look at putting it back. However, it makes no change or difference to the fact that to access the security profile for any given profile, you simply double click that profile number. So if you can see, there are multiple people on this profile 3, right? So if I double click on this profile 3, you will see that the profile settings for anyone on that profile are as follows. So they can see the way this profile is set up, they can see anything on the switchboard. In the admin section, they can see all of the buttons and all of the tabs. Likewise in the staff section, they also have been given edits, full read-write permissions, and as likewise with the staff. And okay, so I wanted to give in this particular profile, it's a profile 3, which is normally your master profile. If you are the administrator and you're on profile 4, we did try to discourage people from using profile 3 because it was reserved for us. But generally, those who did set it all up so that it had access to everything anyway. But it may well be that you are set up on, say, profile 4, so you would double click on profile 4, and what you want to do is you firstly can activate the different tabs in the administrative report screen. Okay. So, right, if we grant full access, first thing to do is to tick all the tabs. What you can do, you don't actually have to, this My Admin Reports is just the custom one. I mean, you can access the custom one directly from this button. And again, remember that this old user rights screen is for the custom, is for the old custom screens. And so if teachers are on 50 or HODs on 25, but specifically if you put them on 50, then they don't have any access to the custom screen anyway. So, but if you so in the generic section, if you click on these tabs, that will firstly make the tabs available. Now what you can do is select the buttons in that tabs. What I did is I created a shortcut for if you wanted to make all the buttons in that tab available. And you can just use this button here, select all general. Right? If you tick that, it ticks all them. If you tick it again, it deselects them. Right? Selects them all, deselects them all. If you select them all, right? If you click it once and it doesn't do it straight away, just click it again. Right, and select all. It's just a setting. we've got a setting that switches itself in the background. Sometimes needs to be, it's different for different computers, so sometimes it needs to be initialized, as it were. And click select, and as I say, you will see all the buttons are selected now. So if I log in again on the administrator's profile, you will now see that I have access to that custom button. Is going to fall away anyway. The administrative screen is going to open the generic fully, and anybody that does have custom things into these screens, it's going to be built into the generic section, because we're now at the point where we can start launching everybody's custom elements, make everybody's custom designs available to everyone, and where there are, I say conflicts, not conflicts, but options, we will simply provide those options. So like, for example, what we've done recently with the testimonials screen is provide an option. So if you click on testimonials, you've got version 1, version 2. There's another one coming out pretty soon that someone's asked me to do. It's going to come under a version 3 button here. And later what we'll introduce is a tick box of sorts that you tick, which reminds you that that is the version you commonly use. So it would be different. A tick box will be ticked next to a different version button for different schools. And that would also tell anyone that succeeds you in your job that that is the button that they would traditionally use in your school. That's the version you guys prefer. So again, if we were to go to setup users and alter these profiles slightly, let's say double click on 3 again. Alright, that's the one we want to alter. You'll also notice that while we're about it, compared to the first security profiles tutorial that was done, which describes the initial security profile setup, in other words, all to do with the switchboard and the admin and the staff and what have you, that I have refreshed these screens as well from the admin section, because we renamed some of these tabs, and I added a couple of tabs, and we added a lot of buttons, and same for the staff section. I will in future be adding access then to these buttons as well. So if multiple people have access to the staff records, you can limit them, let's say, to general, but then you can also blot out all the buttons so that they can't click those buttons as well. So that will be coming soon. Now, as I say, now that we've got this in place, we can start extending the reach into the program much further, so that you can actually customize a user's access levels deep into the program, not just on, say, the surface of the switchboard and the 2 admin and staff record screens. So for example, the academic reports as well will begin to get we'll have the profiles extended to it, so that you can control what they can and cannot see and print off. This is obviously all in lieu of taking work off the administrator's plate, stuff that can and should be done by the staff. It's why we introduced the mark sheets. It's why we're introducing this as well, because it should not be, and I, to be honest, was quite shocked in some cases how often people were asking administrators to print class lists and what have you. Between the XLS transformations, which we revamped this year and which is working brilliantly, and through extending the profile screens, through the mark sheets, there should be a whole host of functions and responsibilities that teachers can take on themselves. Again, also while we extended the absentee entry screen to per class, so that people can do their own absentees by clicking on their class grids, just ticking for that day who's absent. It is absolutely possible for teachers to be taking on their own responsibilities, and again, we see some schools for instance, that have the mark sheets or have some of these things in place where the administrator still isn't ushering the tasks on to the educational staff, or the teachers, and all we can say to that is that they've gotten used to being able to just ask for printouts and things that they may want, or for the administrators to be capturing all the marks. And it comes down to the strength of management and the insistence of the administrators to disseminate the functionality that can be done and should be done by the respective parties concerned within a school, because obviously that kind of task management leads to a far more efficiently run staff, or productivity, far greater productivity within a staff, within a workforce, so to speak. And one of our central focal points, in discussions with my brother and I and Caroline, and especially with having Caroline on board with so much experience working in a school setup, is, at the end of the day, it's got to be about staff saving. The system that you bring in place has got to be about increasing your productivity. So folks, for those of you who still are pressing to have staff perform some of the functions that they really can do from their classroom, for instance, surge forward with it. And as I say, we will continue to make and stretch these features throughout the system so that you can do that. Now, I just want to dive back into the actual demonstration before I carry on waffling on too much. I know it's known that I can do that. So what I want to show you now is if you were entering a new profile. Alright, so let's say that you were entering a new staff member here. So let's say staff, let's call them whatever their username was. Alright, give them a password. I'm just going to give them the rights of 3 for now, but teachers normally have rights of 50. But as I say, that extends to the old custom system, which eventually is going to fall away as we have a generic system that is flexible enough, both in terms of settings and in terms of the available objects, in other words the reports that you all want and need, to be extended to the administrative section, and then all custom elements people want to build within their school will be built within just this one custom section. And so, okay, so you enter the staff record and you give the profile number. Let's say I've been testing with a whole lot of profile numbers. You'll probably have something like 6 or 7 or 11 or 12 still available that you haven't used. I'm going to just stretch mine out to 30 because I've been using a load. Now when I double click here, you'll see that it opens a blank security profile. In other words, it's a new record. You can see here 1 of 1. And so you need to tell it that is the profile number that you entered. You'll see as soon as I enter that profile number and I click away, all these buttons become unticked, so to speak. And that means you can begin to tell it which screens you would like them to have access to. So let's say you don't want them to have access to the navigation pane or to build a bypass locking. These things are covered in the first tutorial. So I'm going to give them, let's say I'm giving access to staff records and administrative reports, only those 3 buttons. And I'm going to do set up users as well, so I can do stuff while I'm in their profile, but you probably wouldn't give them access to that. And then within the admin section, let's say I'm going to give them access to the first 3 bits of tabs of information, the contact details, the learner extra, and let's say you wanted to let them have access to Guardian 1 and 2, and maybe photograph and ID photo, and possibly, let's say, the school record. Now the other thing, just to point out, folks, kind of outside of this tutorial really, but there are some of these buttons that I've been putting in lieu of what's coming in the future. Like for instance, this ECA Awards Leadership button that we've disabled for the time being, but of course in the near future we'll have they will, access will be granted, as we will have something there for folks to click. Then okay, so then let's say in the staff, and again, sorry by the way, if you don't want them to be able to edit any records, user can add records, okay, no. User can delete records, no. User can edit the records, no. Okay, again, you might have somebody on a very similar profile, but you do want to allow them to edit records. So this gives you a far greater, almost granular control of the access and security levels that a particular user can have. And again, let's say in the staff records you were giving them access to only one tab, and again you're not allowing them to add or delete or edit any records. And then again in the administrative report section, let's say you were giving them access to the general tab, and I'll click all of them for now. Perhaps you wanted them to have most of the buttons, but you decided that you were only going to take away access to a few of the buttons. Okay, then perhaps they are involved in discipline, so you wanted to give them access to all of the buttons there, and only those two tabs they were to have access to. Alright, there's no save, it saves as you enter, as is usual with front office. You close, in other words it's dynamically linked. Okay, and we would log in again with that. I just remember what I said, staff 10. Okay, just remember the password that I gave it. Okay, you'll notice that the navigation pane disappears, and they have access only to the buttons that we gave them access to. This is covered in the first tutorial, as I say. And if they go to the administrative section, they only have access to the two tabs that we gave them, and in the first tab you'll see we disabled access to some of the buttons, and in this tab we gave them access to all of the buttons. So again, as I say, a far more granular control of the access levels. And as I say, note that in an upcoming update I'm going to disable this custom button actually altogether. Those of you that do have things in the custom screen that you do use, which is actually quite a few of you, make note, let us know, and we are going to very quickly move these things into the generic section. And as I say, if there are more than one version, you'll have a choice of different versions. Right folks, that concludes this tutorial on the security profiles extension to the administrative reports button. Thank you, bye.